उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृता त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृता
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the channel of the High Priestess of Hedonism. Today, our pursuit of pleasure is via celebrating a young, glorious life of a genius, a maverick, who left us all so suddenly, exactly 120 days ago. Sushant Singh Rajput has been special in so many ways. I marvel at all that I hear about him. But in honest admission first, I have not been a Sushant Singh fan earlier. That's because at this juncture of my life, I'm really not into the fanning business for anybody at all. Yet, with all the things I have heard, I've learned about him, I cannot help looking at him with such awe and admiration, with an intense sense of adulation. I've liked Sushant tremendously in all his films that I have seen, right from Kai Poche to Dhoni, from Chichore to Sonchiriya, even his cameo in PK. Since his passing on, all the things that have unfolded about Sushant, a brilliant mind, a creative iconoclast, a kind heart, a multidimensionally talented personality, a Physics Olympiad winner, an excellent actor and dancer, a bright entrepreneur, an exemplary philanthropist. What is there not to admire in this very fine being who left us in such an untimely fashion, rendering us deeply sorrowed and bereft? The loss somehow feels personal, like it has been the case in a million other people. Today I come before you to give a Shraddhanjali to Sushant Singh Rajput. Joining me for giving a tribute, a small tribute, is another wonderful young man, Maanas Lal. Quite like Sushant, Maanas is multi-talented too. He is a software engineer turned painter, photographic artist, writer, public speaker, and musician. His artworks adorn the walls of ONGC, the governor's residence in Dehradun, the Lamatinia College in Lucknow. Bhaichung Bhutia, Lord Karan Bilimoria are some of the collectors who love buying and showcasing his artworks in their homes and offices. As a prolific writer, he has penned more than 200 articles and is currently working on 2 books. He has held soft skills and art workshops for the IAS and police aspirants at the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration and the National Police Academy. A much awarded artist, Maanas is trained in vocal Hindustani classical music. He wears the hat of a musician admirably. He plays the guitar and sings like a dream. Welcome to the show, Maanas.
Thank you so much, Shraddha. It's a pleasure to be talking with you, a person I look up to and admire in so many ways. Thank you.
Thank you, Maanas. Thank you. What a pleasure to have you on board today. Since these are strange times with strange happenings and stranger pressures and pulls, Maanas, may I ask you to do the agaz with your rendition of Ajeeb Dastaan Hai Ye. Over to you, Maanas.
Absolutely. अजीब दास्तां है ये, कहाँ शुरू कहाँ खत्म, ये मंजिलें हैं कौन सी, न वो समझ सके न हम। अजीब दास्तां है ये, कहाँ शुरू कहाँ खत्म, ये मंजिलें है कौन सी, न वो समझ सके न हम। मुबारक है तुम्हें कि तुम किसी के नूर हो गए, मुबारक है तुम्हें कि तुम किसी के नूर हो गए, किसी के इतने पास हो कि सबसे दूर हो गए। अजीब दास्तां है ये, कहाँ शुरू कहाँ खत्म, ये मंजिलें हैं कौन सी, न वो समझ सके न हम।
Wonderful, wonderful. And you set the tone for the
Thank you.
conversation this
Thank you.
evening. बाबू मोशाय, जिंदगी बड़ी होनी चाहिए, लंबी नहीं. This famous quote from a Bollywood blockbuster encapsulates Sushant's life so well. He lived every moment to the hilt. We are going to weave this tribute around Sushant's 50 dreams and his infectious energy and enthusiasm. Sushant's 50 dreams show us what a remarkable personality he has been. I was going to say he was, but it does not somehow sit right. One doesn't feel that he's gone too far away. He was so different, he was so uniquely special. His 50 dreams can be classified into 5 major heads: his dreams, his vision for the future, his zeal, humanity, and challenging oneself all the time. You know, if I list out his dreams from 1 to 10, they were: learn how to fly a plane, train for Ironman triathlon, play a cricket match left-handed, learn the Morse code, help kids learn about space, play tennis with a champion, do a 4-clap push-up, chart trajectories of Moon, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn for a week, dive in a blue hole, perform the double slit experiment. So unusual, so iconoclastic, so genius of a person to really think of dreams such as this. Sushant, he lived a short but wholesome life, Manas, but he has left lasting lessons. As a fellow young man of almost the same age, what lessons have you picked up from the life of this very special person?
I am glad you quoted from Anand, Zindagi Badi Honi
Yes.
Chahiye. I completely believe in that quote. And I think Sushant truly lived his life. So that is why perhaps the feeling of him being gone is not really there.
True.
Because there is so much work he has left with us. And even more than that, there is so much goodness which he has left with us. So lasting lesson for me, the first thing is that a person that young can have knowledge in so many spheres, can have so many interests. I mean, he read the best philosophers. He wanted to do skydiving. He wanted to fly a plane. He wanted to play tennis with a champion. Now, you're talking about sport. You're talking about art. You're talking about adventure. He was an incredible person, Sushant.
Yes.
And the lesson I take from his life, there are 2 lessons really. The first one is that we must dream big. It is very important for us to have dreams which are attainable, yes, but unless you have a big dream, you end up achieving a lot less than what you are perhaps destined for. So Sushant understood his capability well. And that is something I would urge people my age to do, that, they must understand themselves before they actually set out or venture into dreaming. Because Sushant knew his limitations, and there were not many. So talents really dictate what a person decides to do, and Sushant had so many of them. So learning from a talented person, I would like to say that Sushant is somebody who tells you how to make the most of your talents and how to, jot down these dreams so that you have something to live for every day. You look forward to the next day and you get inspired by people around you. Sushant lists out so many people who he was inspired by. He used to, for instance, from Vincent van Gogh on one end to somebody like Nasaruddin Shah at the other. I mean, he in his own craft. So
Absolutely.
artists of very different kinds, but
Correct.
he used to study them closely. And for one man to understand the complexity in the craft of each of these individuals, and then to jot them down as his own dreams is incredible, really.
Absolutely. In fact, you almost got on to my second question, which was, how important is it to set one's dreams at any state that you may be at any age in your life? Why is it so important, to really have dreams, open-eyed dreams, really plan ahead, plan big? Why is it so important for the young or for people of any age for that matter?
I don't think there can be a template to dreaming. I mean,
Yes,
there are people who do not really have the same attitude as Sushant does. They don't really list out their dreams. But I don't think that unless you do have a dream, you have a sense of purpose in life. I think purpose comes from dreaming. And so, as young people, as people who want to take not just our own selves forward, but also we want to take society with us, we must dream for a larger cause. And that is what you see through Sushant's dreams. He used to live beyond beyond what most people do. He had a vision which was for others too. So I think, Sushant is the kind of person who tells you how to dream, who teaches you how to dream, and who shows you that it can be done.
yes, yes,
So I mean, he ticked off a lot of those bucket list items, which is incredible.
absolutely.
I don't know how many people will actually end up doing 12 or 13 of those things in their lives.
Correct,
So,
correct. And I liked what you said, Manas, that it's dreams that give you purpose. They pave your path, to your destination that you want to get at, or several paths that take you to your one destination. It's dreams that give you they are the cobblestones, they are the purpose that drive you forward. Very well said, Manas. I quite like what you said there. I hear
and in
that,
fact, I would also like to add a little thing.
yes,
I do believe that, Sushant told us that it's possible to have dreams in different spheres,
correct,
because there's a lot of talk about limiting yourself to one area of work or thinking in a particular direction. But what Sushant's life teaches us is that, we can take inspiration from sport, from art, from academics,
yes,
and all these things are interlinked. And, ultimately your growth as a person heavily depends on the number of interests you cultivate.
correct,
So for
correct.
anybody who thinks that holding on to one thing is actually fulfilling a dream is perhaps a narrower perspective of living life.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very well said. I hear that you have prepared a list of Sushant's songs for the tribute this evening, and you're going to play the first one for us now. What is it? Will you introduce the song to us, please?
Yes. So Sushant, while he was a very popular guy before he did the film MS Dhoni, but I think that is a film which was a massive box office success. So that is somewhere I want to start, also because I particularly love this song.
Yes,
I like Arman Malik's vocals on this, and I think that Sushant on screen did a lot of justice to the character of MS Dhoni.
absolutely.
So for me, I think my journey as a fan began with that film, and then I explored the rest of his work.
Sure.
So let me begin with a song where my fandom
Yes.
essentially began. तू आती है सीने में जब जब सांसें भरता हूँ तेरे दिल की गलियों से मैं हर रोज गुजरता हूँ हवा के जैसे चलती है तू मैं रेत जैसे उड़ता हूँ कौन तुझे यूं प्यार करेगा जैसे मैं करता हूँ ओ, 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 तू आती है सीने में जब जब सांसें भरता हूँ तेरे दिल की गलियों से मैं हर रोज गुजरता हूँ मेरी नजर का सफर तुझ पे ही आके रुके, कहने को बाकी जो था, कहना था जो कह चुके। मेरी निगाहें हैं तेरी निगाहों की, तुझे खबर क्या बेखबर। जिस दिन तुझको ना देखूं, पागल पागल फिरता हूँ। कौन तुझे यूं प्यार करेगा जैसे मैं करता हूँ। ओ ओ ओ ओ ओ।
Marvelous, marvelous, fantastic, really. You know,
Thank
you
you so
sung it
much.
so well, really, Manas. I enjoyed it completely. You know, deliberately, I am
Thank you.
doing this evening. I am, reading out Sushant's 50 Dreams. People can go through it
Mm.
as and when they want it, but I just want to be able to, reaffirm it one more time. There is not enough time that we want to, think about it, read it, internalize it, and pick up lessons from there. You rightly said that, they're so diverse that show that people can have so many interests at so many levels
Mm.
in so many spheres. And his dreams really, put a trust on that aspect, really. So I'm going to read out his dreams from 11 to dream 20. It goes: plant 1,000 trees, spend an evening in my Delhi College of Engineering hostel, send kids for workshop in ISRO and NASA, meditate in Kailash, play poker with the champ, write a book, visit CERN, paint aurora borealis, attend another NASA workshop, and develop six-pack abs in 6 months. So really, incredibly, Sushant. I want to ask you, one of the significant and recurring themes in Sushant's 50 Dreams has been his vision for the future and how he wanted to make a difference. What can the millennial in your mind pick up from this? How should they emulate it in their own lives?
I believe that our generation and the generation after us actually is going to be responsible for the very concept of sustainability. And Sushant understood this. If you see his dreams, the very core of his dreams, he's an environmentalist. He's somebody who understands the importance of water, of trees, of the carbon cycle, of
Absolutely.
nature.
Yes.
Uh, and so he's able to, tell us why the future looks bleak and what we can do to contribute. So the reason he wanted to invest so much in kids, the reason he wanted all of us to look towards a better future is because he had the intelligence, the capability, and the wide sphere of knowledge to understand the present. And I believe the one thing which most of us miss out on is actually realizing that we have a responsibility towards what is to come next, the people
Correct.
who are going to come after us.
Very well said.
And I would say that to the millennials, because I think they are perhaps the last generation who are going to enjoy this planet the way we have known it. We are not far away from big changes, not just in the world order as human beings know it, but changes in terms of nature, things which we are perhaps not prepared for. We are in the midst of a pandemic, which I don't think any of us had foreseen. We are talking on
Absolutely.
Skype. We are trying to make things work.
Yes.
So life as we know it has changed tremendously, and I think people like Sushant did see that happening. So he wanted to invest in the future. He wanted people to understand the importance of the present so that they can work towards a better future. Not many have that foresight. And I think it again came from Sushant's, love for reading, his love for the extraterrestrial, his love for astrology, astronomy,
Yes.
you name it. And this man had an interest in everything.
Correct.
So, and actually not just an interest, but a deep knowledge, because a lot of people, have half-baked knowledge in things. But what I've come to admire about Sushant through his speeches, and luckily, I have been more in the mood to celebrate his life as
Yes.
opposed to,
Yes.
get into the controversies around it.
Correct.
So I've
Correct.
been able to see through all the noise and
Yes.
see the person that Sushant was and how invested he was in humanity
Yes.
and the way he wanted us as a race, as a people, to move forward and to understand our frailties and work towards a better future. So his dreams are not, I'll say this again, not just Sushant's dreams. Those are dreams we all need to harbor. and fulfill,
Yes.
because that is the only way we are ultimately going to make it through.
Yes. No, very important points. In fact, two of them that you raised in this segment, which is, one, to be innately humble. That humility, uh, which I guess in Sushant's case came from the knowledge that we are not alone in the universe. There are other planets, there are other, there may be other life which may be far superior than us. So really, let us be humble, let us be grateful, and let's, return whatever we can to the universe from which we so greedily take. So that's a very important point that you raised as well. And the other thing was that, we have, come this far, and we have used the environment or each other or the resources, at will, to whatever way we wanted to, for whatever things we wanted to. But now here is a point with the pandemic, with what is happening around, with, losing some important people, with changes happening in our mindsets. Now's the time, now's the wake up call to really realize that from henceforth, it is time to, see what is the world that we want to, now develop in the time to come. And the mantle rests on all of us, especially the young, who will take the torch forward, really. So really, two important points there, Manas. Fabulous.
And if I may add to that,
Yes, please.
I think one thing Sushant saw through was this claim of, human beings being great, of being the, as you said, the only form of life, or
Yes.
having a monopoly in the universe.
Correct.
He was able to understand that, we are but a speck in the universe, and it's a matter of time before we are tested in some or the other way.
Absolutely.
So I think that is a lesson which everybody needs to understand and take
That's
very seriously, because
Yes.
we owe this to the people who are to come after us.
Correct, correct. Absolutely. We owe it to the world. We owe it to the people who are going to come after us. We owe it to the other beings who cohabit the world with us. Human beings pay so much of disregard and disrespect to other beings. And that cannot be so, Here we can't even fight a small bacteria, a small virus. And we have been mistreating beings all around. So I think that's a big sort of, hammer on our head
In
as
fact,
well.
I do believe one of Sushant's dreams was also to raise a horse. So I think
Yes,
we'll
you're
get to
right.
that.
I'm going to
So,
come to
yeah.
that. Can you
So-
imagine? Absolutely. And he was so kind to
Yeah.
all other animals. I mean, that's one thing that's
Yes.
coming up. In my discussion with so many people are realizing the importance, the significance of being kind, per se, in general, to everybody around, to the plant world, to the other animal world, to even the inanimate world. There is this huge, crying issue of recycling, repurposing, re-evaluating things. You can't just, use and throw anymore. You have to let things live.
I think it is the time when we have to start treating renewable sources of energy as living beings,
Absolutely.
because I mean we'll run out of them,
Correct.
and they sustain life.
Correct.
So without them, there is no life essentially.
That's
And
right.
we are actually doing this to every other being around us,
Absolutely.
just because, well, we consider ourselves perhaps intellectually
Yeah,
superior. So,
yeah, absolutely. We were blinded by our own sort of, I guess, intelligence. We thought we were too intelligent. We thought we were too supreme. But then, universe has a way of teaching us lessons. Divinity has a way of teaching us lessons. And we better learn those lessons now, isn't it, Manas? Better late than never. Would
absolutely,
you?
Sushant's loss too. I think we must take lessons out of this loss,
Yes.
because
Yes.
we have lost a very promising young man,
Correct.
but he has left us with lessons
Absolutely.
and beautiful memories.
Correct.
And so I understand that all of us have to grieve,
That's
but all of us also have to learn from a wonderful life, and a life
That's
which fulfilled a lot more than most people do.
Absolutely, absolutely. What if we don't, learn lessons from this? Then what do we, take as good lessons? Then really, what do we get influence from? If not instances such as this, really wonderful. Absolutely. So, Manas, may I request to, strum another song for us, please, from Sushant's kitty of movies?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So this is
And
from the movie
yes,
PK, in
yes,
which Sushant was not the lead
correct.
male hero,
But such an
but I
important,
loved this
yeah, I loved his
very.
role.
I loved this performance, and
Yes,
I get a little emotional when singing this song, because I connect this song with Sushant, and particularly he turns around to see Anushka in the beginning of the song, and
right.
that is a frame I recall. So there are certain frames, which stay in your mind.
That's correct.
So from different movies. So this is one frame which has stayed with me from PK.
Yes.
So I'll just have a sip of water actually
Yes,
before
please.
singing this.
Absolutely. That's right.
Yeah. Right. And I think Sushant did a phenomenal job as Sarfaraz in this film, and Anushka and his chemistry was wonderful.
Yes,
So I'll try this
his
song.
portrait of the character has been, imprinted on our minds. I loved the movie. It was very nice, though I felt, the other actor hammed quite a bit. But Sushant was very much a lot with gravitas. He performed with a lot of sanjeedgi, with a lot of sincerity. You can't forget his cameo in the movie. Really, I quite agree with you.
Yes,
His
and his sincerity and hard work comes through in every character.
comes through in
So
everything he did.
that
Absolutely,
is a common thread.
that's a common benchmark. Completely, yes.
बिन पूछे मेरा नाम और पता रस्मों को रख के परे चार कदम बस चार कदम चल दो ना साथ मेरे बिन पूछे मेरा नाम और पता रस्मों को रख के परे चार कदम बस चार कदम चल दो ना साथ मेरे बिन कुछ कहे बिन कुछ सुने हाथों में हाथ लिए चार कदम बस चार कदम चल दो ना साथ मेरे रंपाय रे रंपाय रे रा 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 री रा रा रे रंपाय रे रंपाय रे रा 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 री रा रा रे तुम सा मिले जो कोई रहे गुजर दुनिया से कौन डरे चार कदम क्या सारी उम्र चल दूंगी साथ तेरे बिन कुछ कहे बिन कुछ सुने हाथों में हाथ लिए चार कदम बस चार कदम चल दो ना साथ मेरे
Lovely, lovely. I can visualize the song, It was in Bruges that the song was picturized.
Yes, that's
Yes,
right.
yes.
What a beautiful city,
Beautiful.
and just the right location for this kind of
That's correct.
number, I
That's
believe.
correct. And you sang it very well, Manas. Thank you for that, really. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm going to now talk
I
about
just
it.
hope the audio is clear on the
Yeah.
vocals. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is clear. Sometimes the string of guitar, I feel, it comes sharply, but otherwise it's all right, you know.
Okay, we are adjusting with the time, so let's
Yes.
make it work.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're adjusting with the times. Yes. So his dreams, Sushant's dreams from 21 to 30, Manas, some of the words, some of the concepts I had to, read up to know what they were. And here he was, talking about doing those things. So really, awe-inspiring indeed. So dream 21, swim in the cenotes. 22, teach coding to the visually impaired. That's really fabulous. Spend a week in a jungle. Understand Vedic astrology. Visit Disneyland. We all want to, we all have. Visit LIGO Observatory. Raise a horse. Do you remember that? Learn at least 10 dance forms. Work for free education. And explore Andromeda with the powerful telescope. It's so disparate, so different from one subject to another, from one aspect to another, from one field to another. There is no limit to human desire to know things, to learn things, to do things. Isn't it, Manas? I mean, really, absolutely, inspiring.
True, and we need more people like this as role models who
As role models.
have a wide sphere of knowledge because
Yes,
they influence opinions and they make people think otherwise. And I
yes,
think Sushant was one of those people who actually did care about a lot of things. So
that's
again, his concern for nature, for the environment, for astrophysics,
right.
for literature, everything comes across in
Perfect,
these
perfect.
dreams.
And for people on the sidelines, on the margins of our lives, we don't always look at them. We're so engrossed in our, rigmarole, in our own daily, nitty gritty that we have to fight through. He talks about, reading or educating or doing things for the visually impaired and for the children. And that's something that we must, always keep in mind and try and do something about it on a daily
And
basis.
that is a particularly fascinating dream. I do believe that, we lose out on a large pool of coders
Correct,
in the IT industry
correct.
because they are impaired in one or the other way.
Yes,
So they are not particularly adept at using the computer. And I'm very happy that Sushant had this on his bucket list because actually
yes,
all you need to have is a good brain.
that's right.
And it'll be great if we are able to utilize more people in industries and not just in IT, but across industries. I
Absolutely.
know Sushant was an engineer, so he
Correct.
saw, coding differently.
Yes,
So do I. I have coded for a while in my life, for a
yes,
couple of years actually, while I was
true.
working with a conglomerate. So I do understand that, we can add tremendously to the existing pool of talent in the industry if we realize some of these dreams. Again,
Correct.
education for all in a country like it, that tells you is truly Indian. He understands, uh, you know, the ground realities, and
Absolutely.
he wants to contribute in his own way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like you said, my niece tells me the same thing. And I think people who are very digitally savvy and are technologically, adept, you all tell us that coding it's going to be the blood in the veins for future lives to be able to sustain ourselves. Coding is going to be that important in various spheres. So yes, absolute lot of
Yeah,
importance.
actually, the reason we are being able to talk to each other on this platform is because some code lines of code are functioning in the background.
Yes, that's right.
And that is how all technology works these
That's
days.
right.
Even a modem is hard coded. Our phones have
Correct.
some hard coded
Correct.
technology, some
Correct.
software.
Correct.
So that is where we are going for sure.
Yes.
Although, concepts like artificial intelligence, which fascinated Sushant,
Yes.
do kind of trouble me at times. And there has been a lot of talk on where we must draw the line. So
Absolutely.
I think, again, we need people like Sushant to have that kind of informed dialogue.
That's right.
And yes, coding is going to shape a lot of our future.
True.
That is something we need to accept, because even in the use of resources, sometimes controlling the use of resources is better done when using machines, because
Yes.
human beings tend to be dictated more by emotions than logic at times.
That's right.
So when a purely logical being like a machine is in the fray, then perhaps things are more in control.
Correct. 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 But it may differ for certain industries. For example, from my industry, from the hospitality industry, we would still like people to be. We would like it to be people centric than to be completely mechanized, isn't it? You want that human touch,
Well,
but you want
absolutely.
a sensible human
I'd
touch.
find it scary actually to go
Yes.
to a hotel and
Yeah.
find a machine for a receptionist.
True.
That will be weird. But
Correct. Correct.
um, there is this concept which has been in the works now of developing artificially intelligent robots, where
Yes.
But I think that we must know where to draw the line,
That's right.
because one of my first talks when I entered the IT industry was why we should not make machines too intelligent.
Correct.
And it
Correct.
was a very well received talk, and I have spoken widely on the subject. And I do feel that somebody like Sushant, in one of his talks, I was listening to him talk to perhaps a film personality who was not understanding what he was saying, but he was talking about the fact that we must not let the medium, the inanimate part of the medium, any medium, dictate the human aspect of it. So
Yes.
that is something we need to keep
Yes.
in mind.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the balance, like you said, the balance between how far we're letting it go, and how much to harness it and rein it to the benefit of the humankind and the living kind, really, not just humans, but how to keep that balance, really, not to let them have a different life of their own and not to let them go out of control. That's going to be a challenge, and that's going to be important from our point of view, really. If we feel that we can control things and we can dictate terms and we can strategize and plan things out. No, very well said, absolutely. So that brings me to another question, Manas. Sushant's 50 dreams also depict how the artist always wished to challenge himself and to take himself out of his comfort zone. Do you think that should be a benchmark for the young to aspire to in order to harness their energy and to make their lives even more meaningful?
Absolutely. I may be a little biased when giving this answer because
Yes,
I am an artist myself,
yes,
But I do believe that artists, writers, singers, poets, actors, dancers, artists across all forms of art, visual, performing, or otherwise, have the ability to bring about change. And the reason is because they constantly keep pushing the boundaries of what can be achieved. I can say the same about sportsmen too. So, even in coding, I believe coding is a form of art. I'll pick up from what Sushant was saying. I think
Yes.
why he was so fascinated by coding was because new innovation in coding belongs to those who think out of the box. And Sushant was one of those people.
Yes.
So anything new, anything great will only be achieved if we keep pushing boundaries. So as artists and as young people, and as people for that matter, all of us need to think of what comes next.
Yes.
Because even I'm certain that, being the kind of person Sushant was, if he had ticked these 50, he would have gone on to number 51 to 100.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that is what I expect of people, particularly artists, but also across, other fields. I mean, scientists and even civil servants for that matter. We need to think of out of the box solutions because mankind is changing, the times are changing, and we have a cumulative responsibility. I keep coming back to this
Correct.
towards not just ourselves, but all the species around us,
Correct.
this entire
Correct.
planet. It has sustained us for so long, and we need to give back to it.
Correct. Absolutely. That's right. No, fabulous. Very well said. And to really, go beyond and to really outstretch our own limits. And you're right. I think artists have this, they have the fifth or the sixth dimension they work on. Everything else, the common platform they've already acquired. And then it's the next platform that they work from in terms of, extending themselves to really produce that fabulous piece of art or music or, or writing or thought, what have you, really. So yeah, I guess to really
Even today, when you see a Al Pacino or a Brando perform, they are still pushing that bar. So,
absolutely,
and when you see Meryl Streep on screen,
yes,
she's still pushing that bar.
correct,
So
correct,
you think that they have reached a certain stage,
correct.
but they get one better,
That's right.
and they keep inspiring you.
That's
And
right.
and that the same is true about great writers.
Great, great
You always
musicians.
look forward to what they're coming up with.
Yes, yes,
And musicians, and
correct.
for instance, Rahman,
Yes,
he comes up with something new. He'll come
that's
up
right.
with a jazz tune, and then
That's
he'll branch into atonal jazz, something India has
that's
never heard before,
correct.
and then he'll go to folk.
Yes.
So there's no limit.
There's no limit.
Absolutely no.
Absolutely, absolutely. To grow and to develop and to present and to give a gift of from your own brilliance or your own learning, so to say, really. So you're going to sing another song for us now, Manas, from another movie of Sushant's. Which one is it going to be? Would you introduce that
Yes.
to us, please?
So this is from Dil Bechara,
Okay,
Sushant's
the last
final movie,
Yes,
which dropped on Hotstar, and I mean, got so much love and
yes,
applause. And
yes. That's right.
I'm so glad that some people perhaps fell in love with Sushant after he was gone. So that is the true legacy of an artist if he continues to
Absolutely,
live on through his work.
absolutely.
And I believe the reason all of us still, love Shakespeare or talk about Dante as if he is here
Correct.
is because these people have left great work for us. So
That's
I hope that, artists like Sushant have the same kind of legacy and they continue to live on.
correct.
So Dil Bechara perhaps did that for him. It is such a popular film.
Correct.
It's
Correct.
only fitting that. And when I sing the song, I do feel like, all of us are singing this for Sushant because the lyrics kind of have that ring.
Absolutely.
तुम ना होवे मेरे तो क्या मैं तुम्हारा मैं तुम्हारा रहा तुम ना होवे मेरे तो क्या मैं तुम्हारा मैं तुम्हारा रहा मेरी चंदा मैं तुम्हारा सितारा रहा रिश्ता रहा बस रेत का ऐसा मंदिर मैं तुम्हारा किनारा रहा, तुम ना हुए मेरे तो क्या, मैं तुम्हारा, मैं तुम्हारा, मैं तुम्हारा रहा, रिश्ता रहा बस रेत का, ऐ समंदर मैं तुम्हारा, तुम्हारा रहा. So this is the
Magnificent.
phrase which
Yes.
is, a part of the initial part of the film. And
Yes.
the girl says that, why doesn't he complete this phrase? Why is this musician not completing this phrase? And honestly, I want to leave this incomplete as a tribute to Sushant here,
Yes.
because I, somewhere, and I hope he comes to, I meet him in some other life, and perhaps I ask him that complete that phrase for me, Sushant. So, I want to leave that idea open. And that is perhaps one dream on my bucket list. Let's meet him
Absolutely.
someday and make him complete.
Fabulous, fabulous. So you do believe in, energy is always revolving, circulating, moving around, Gita said so, soul never perishes. And we will meet each other in some form or the other.
Particularly for artists, I would say this, that, when they leave a legacy, they make people do extraordinary things.
That's right.
That thing stays somewhere in the back of your mind
That's right.
and heart.
That's
And
right.
whenever you are doing something new, you may not realize it, but it's a contribution of all these great people who have done something.
That's
And
right.
not just people, I mean, you're inspired by even nature and inanimate beings,
Correct.
and of course, all the species which inhabit this earth with us.
Absolutely.
So, and I kind of take this away from Sushant's life, that he knew how to get inspired from
That's
things
right.
which most people just look at and ignore.
That's right.
So, there is inspiration everywhere.
That's
And I think that one day Sushant will inspire us to complete this song.
Absolutely. What an important takeaway, Manas, from what you just said. Inspiration is everywhere. In the web of a spider, to an intricately designed colored flower, to the paw print of an animal, to the way an animal behaves to a situation. Inspiration is to the way the trees branch out in a tree, the way the leaves come back, after they have yellowed and sort of fallen down. Inspiration is everywhere. So well said. What an important takeaway. You just have to have
True,
open
in fact, the season is
eyes.
changing these days. The
Yes.
season is changing these days, and I can see
Yes.
the leaves becoming yellow, and it's a beautiful transition.
That's
It
right.
makes me want to paint,
That's right.
and so
Correct.
inspiration is here,
Correct.
right here.
Absolutely. So just two things
In
required.
fact, when I hear you speak,
Yes.
so fluently, and how quickly you pick up on things I say, I'm getting inspired. I think about how people think so fast sometimes.
Correct.
So,
Correct. No, definitely. Just two things required then. Two sort of, prerequisites, Manas. Open eyes and an open mind is all is required to really, to attain an extraordinary life, to live an extraordinary life. Isn't it so? That's
yes,
all.
I think from a drop of water, to the moon, anything can inspire you, really.
Anything can inspire you.
There's-
Absolutely. That's right. That brings me to Sushant's next set of dreams, Manas, from 31 to 40. Learn Kriya Yoga, visit Antarctica, help train women in self-defense, shoot an active volcano, learn how to farm, teach dance to kids, be an ambidextrous archer. Finish reading the entire Resnick Halliday physics book, understand Polynesian astronomy, and learn guitar chords of his favorite 50 songs. Again, a whole range, a big melange, telling us what the person was all about and how his mind ticked really, isn't it? How fabulous is that? You're going to say something.
He lived in the finer nuances of life,
Yes,
and not many of us dwell in those
That's good.
finer nuances. So
that's correct.
it's very inspiring, because a person who achieves so much usually ends up thinking no end of himself. That's not true about Sushant.
Absolutely.
And he knows his limitations, and so when and it's very humbling to think that there are certain dreams which on that list of
Yes.
Sushantsinghrajput, which some of us might have already fulfilled.
That's correct.
So for those of us who need to look for inspiration, or who are feeling low, look at Sushant's list and maybe you'll find a bucket list item which you have checked and Sushant did not.
That's right.
There's
That's right.
inspiration for you.
That's right. In fact, his family is on to that now. You know, they are slowly. You're right. You said he's finished he had accomplished 12 of his dreams out of his list of 50. And of course, he left us too soon. But his family has taken on the mantle of, one by one, accomplishing his dreams that had been left off on his bucket list, So that's a fantastic thing to do, I think. His family and his extended family, his fans, they are getting together and accomplishing his dreams from the bucket list. And I think each one of us can do, because they all speak to us as well. All these 50 dreams and more that we have our own sort of accord speak to us, and they motivate us to achieve much more than what we have planned so far.
I truly hope that happens, and I truly hope that his legacy is honored with people achieving those dreams, doing
Correct.
the work he wanted to do.
That's right.
Because that will be the real tribute to Sushant Singh Rajput
Absolutely.
from people
Correct.
and his fans and anybody else for that matter. Because
Anybody else for that matter.
An artist's ideas
Yes.
must outlive the artist.
Correct.
So to keep the idea alive and to work on it is
Correct.
perhaps truly living Sushant's dreams.
That's correct.
And I think that, that is the way of keeping Sushant or anybody alive.
Anybody
You
alive.
keep the idea, that seed of thought alive.
That's right. That's right. Yes, whether it was a great Mahatma Gandhi, or learnings from our Gita, or an Abraham Lincoln, or a Martin Luther King, or Swami Vivekananda. Sushant's passing has really brought back those thoughts as well. Like you said, really look at what the legacy has been left behind for us, and dive into that. Like a vast ocean that it is, and swim out with gems of our own. Polish them the way we want to, with our special, unique lens, and take it forward, and then leave our imprints as well. Each of us has the propensity to become somebody great, to leave great, footprints on the sands of time, and to really leave our own legacies behind. And I think that's a wonderful aspiration to have for our own selves as well. Nothing should happen.
Absolutely. And even if we do not end up achieving something great,
Correct.
I think we must always understand that we are very important cogs in the wheel of somebody else's dream.
Absolutely.
So we are working for a larger purpose at all times.
Correct.
So if somebody else achieves a dream, perhaps we are doing something big in our own right.
That's
The world moves on, and all of us have to
Yes.
contribute to it.
correct.
That is the only way it will move on. If we
That's
think that we are not going to contribute in a big way, or we are not capable enough, that is a great disservice to ourselves.
Correct. And Sushant could have just been a TV actor if he wanted to, or just an engineering pass out, or an engineer somewhere, or maybe a dancer, a very good dancer at that, but just a dancer, or a very well-established, cinema actor, or just those brackets really. But he did not want to contain himself. And that, when you look at lives such as this, it shows that, you don't need to bracket yourself either. You can really extend and, outreach yourself and, elongate your own, capabilities. We all have been given the wherewithal to do so much more than what we have already sort of resigned ourselves to doing. So really go on, dream big, and do whatever you want to. And so that when you look back, you feel, a whole huge sense of pride, and people, significant others, look up to you and say, okay, here was a life well lived, really. I mean, that could be a big sort of, cornerstone to work with, isn't it, Maanas?
Absolutely. People, I think, have this habit to formalize things. The entire race does. So
Yes.
you put something within a set of rules, and you think this is the right way of doing it.
Correct.
But the iconoclasts actually make things move on.
Yes.
And that's how this world is going to move on.
Absolutely.
So that is why Sushant is important. And that is why you must recognize your own dream and believe in it to the T, because there are people who are going to discourage you. And this is something I would also like to stress upon, which I think is important, an important takeaway from Sushant's life.
Yes.
There were times he was rejected. There were times he was not considered good enough.
Yes.
But he worked with the best. He did great work. He worked across spheres. He kept all his interests alive.
That's good.
And he truly loved people.
Absolutely.
So that's what you need from a person.
That's right.
And I believe that, we must never, ever say die in that sense. We must keep working on our dreams, our goals, and believe like Sushant believed. that
Yes.
we will one day perhaps graduate from being a TV actor to a film actor, and then perhaps something even greater. And
Absolutely.
for each one of us, irrespective of what we do,
Correct.
we should have a big dream,
That's
a,
right.
a humongous dream.
That's right. And you know what you said just now, I like to encapsulate that. I'd like to sort of bring it back on the discussion table, and I'd like to say there are two more important things that you have put on the table right now, or that spring out from what you said. One is that people will, yes, pull you down, or people will bully you, but you have the gumption to fight that and to rise above that. There is nobody in the world who can really put you down. If you believe in yourself, if you believe in your own wares, if you believe in your attributes, there is nobody. If you have that confidence, so number one, develop that confidence. And once you have that, there's nobody and nothing that can shake you down and bring you down to their level. Isn't that not so?
Absolutely, and living in a world where there is so much fake approval happening.
Correct.
You're on social media,
Yes.
and we are on a YouTube channel,
Yes.
and you know that when people congratulate you that, oh my God, you have a YouTube channel, well done, congratulations. How many of those people actually invest time in your channel or in you?
Absolutely.
So we must learn how to differentiate between the genuine and
Absolutely.
those who are just doing things for show.
Absolutely.
And that is where I think a lot of us fail, because we must never look at instant gratification from social
Yes.
media
Yes.
as
Yes.
the benchmark to achieve.
Very
That's
well
no
said.
dream, really.
That's right.
It's an individual dream,
That's right.
and you should feel satisfied before anybody else does,
Correct.
that you are doing the right thing.
That's right.
And people recognize a genuine person. I do believe sincerely that cut out all this noise of social media and the noise these days even on television media.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
in real life, people have this ability to connect with hearts, and
Correct.
the genuine person stands out in a crowd of a million. So
Very true.
let's try and be genuine and
Absolutely.
actually appreciate others when we believe that they are doing something good, and criticize them when we believe they are not doing something
That's
good,
right.
because that is the only way they will actually fulfill a dream.
That's right.
This fake approval system, this rating system, which has kind of infiltrated society,
Absolutely.
is very dangerous.
Correct.
And we need to
Correct.
learn that somebody like a Sushant, for instance, he was looking way beyond Bollywood.
Yes.
And that's where I think a lot of people have done a disservice to him
That's
by
right.
saying that, oh my God, Sushant was this big Bollywood star, and
Correct. Correct.
no, Sushant was a person who was an actor in Bollywood, but he was so much more than that.
Absolutely.
So if you want to talk about Sushant, talk about 100 other things,
Correct.
and then you can say I've spoken about Sushant Singh Rajput,
Correct.
because
Correct. Correct.
you don't know a person until you have seen how genuine he is or she is, and what are his dreams.
Yes.
Luckily, Sushant wrote them down for us, and we are discussing them.
Yes.
So we need to recognize the dreams within people, and we need to somewhere contribute in their journeys. I think that is the only way things will work.
Absolutely. And you talked about fake approval, Maanas, and I want to bring it back for the benefit of the young who may be watching us and who will see the program and who will sort of hopefully pick up the right lessons. We are a social media driven sort of generation, and we do get affected by the likes we get, the likes we don't get, how many friends we have, how many friends we don't have in our kitty. It's really not important. I keep saying that every time I get perturbed, it's natural to get acknowledge that it's natural to get disturbed by all those thoughts. It's a very natural, thought process that will come to you. But how you handle it is going to show you, will differentiate the boys from the men, so to say. And to, when you get criticism or you get compliments on social media or even in real life, stop for a moment and think, what is the source of it? Where are you getting compliments from? Who is criticizing you? And then attach importance to that piece of compliment or, critique.
Absolutely. For instance, I can talk about my personal experience with you.
Yes.
As a fellow social media user.
Yes.
When I see your comment, I know that you've actually heard what I've done, or
Absolutely.
you've actually heard me saying, and you're going to give me an honest answer about,
Correct.
what you feel, and you may disagree with me.
Correct.
But you have every right to disagree with me, and you have
Yes.
every right to tell me that I
Yes.
don't think this was right, or I don't
That's
think you
right.
signed to your potential.
That's right.
And that is the only way we'll grow. I sometimes put out a song which is 3 minutes long, and inside the first 20 seconds, I have 5 or 6 comments on it. So clearly, that's not real approval. So people need to differentiate between these
Absolutely.
things. There
Absolutely.
is too much noise around likes, dislikes, love, care, wow, fantastic, amazing, incredible,
Correct.
uh, and these new terms, lit and mojo and
Yes.
OTD, and oh my God,
Yes.
I get scared sometimes
Yeah.
that I'm
We
falling behind on these
Yeah,
things.
yeah, we're going to have a different session on the acronyms and how they are a bet noir for me. You know how I hate that afflet and all that. You know all that crassy stuff. Really, Manas. How do they talk like that? You know how much time are they saving by reducing good words to
And even
silly
these
acronyms?
gifs which come up on
Yes,
Facebook,
that too.
they are actually for saving time. You just
Yes,
click, a single click gives you a sticker, and you're
absolutely.
done with the formality.
That's right.
And that is why in your own head you need to know who your genuine, not supporters, but who the genuine people around you are, because critics are equally important, if not more
That's
important.
that's correct. That's correct. And more young people like you and people of the younger generation than you as well, who can have a lot of herav and lot of gravitas about how they conduct their lives, Manas. That is so important, really. And be more balanced than being swayed easily by things. You aren't young Ashoka tree, for heaven's sake, that you will get swayed and you sway with rapid winds. You have to have a strong base, and you have to cultivate that yourself. And comparisons are odious. You how can you compare yourself to somebody else? How can you compare your life with somebody else's? It's not the same template. It's not been the same journey. It's not going to be the same journey hence on. So you can't really compare. It's not an apple to apple
That's
comparison.
one of the places where I think a great disservice has been done to Sushant, actually.
Yes.
Understanding somebody's struggles
Yes.
is easier said than done. And you cannot gauge somebody's struggles by their financial status
No.
or their following on social media.
Correct.
This guy has 11 million social media followers, so he can have no trouble in life. Uh, that's not how things work. I mean,
That's right.
you have to disassociate these concepts. What has happened is that social media has led to watertight opinions, and
Correct.
if you don't fall in one group or the other, you end up being hated by both groups, and that is the most difficult place to be in.
That's
But
right.
I want more and more people to be in that space, because that is where you should ideally be. You know, having a fundamentalist opinion on either side is very harmful.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's correct. So well said, and so pertinent in today's climate, in today's
Yeah.
geopolitical, socio-political climate, really, absolutely. I fully agree with that. That brings me to my next question, Manas. Sushant's 50 Dreams also show that the supremely talented actor made smart, attainable, accomplishable dreams. One of his closest friends, has revealed that one time he had said to her that, he would achieve XYZ things in 5 years' time. And at the end of those 5 years, he was exactly where he had wanted to be. Do you agree that dreams must be realistic and attainable, even if placed on a higher plank, and they should be placed on a higher plank? And then we must go all out to pursue our dreams, putting flags of victory on a personal, goalpost. Is that not so?
Okay, so I'll answer this in three parts.
Yes,
I think that dreams should be big. There's no doubt about it. We should dream big. Everybody should dream big. But then there's another aspect to it. Not everybody is as talented as Sushant. So Sushant wants to achieve something in a given period of time.
yes,
He is more likely to do it than others.
correct.
So the second part of it is that yes, you should understand what is attainable for you. You cannot compare yourself to Sushant in his field of work,
Absolutely.
and you need to realize your potential. And that is where I say that Sushant, the person like Sushant, has a very strong sense of the present.
Correct.
So the third part of this is being very aware of where you are currently, because the future holds something for you only if you have a keen understanding of both the present and the past.
Yes.
And I do believe that the emphasis on the past in our lives, and not just our own past, but a sense of history and a sense of belonging, is missing in a lot of the next generation. And this is something to learn from Sushant Singh Rajput, that the only way to dream is to first develop a very strong foundation, which is based in the subjects of humanities. You should understand history, geography, science. Only then will you be able to dream big. It's good to say that, okay, we'll have a big dream which we'll attain. But unless you have a foundation for the dream, you'll actually go nowhere.
Correct.
So, in fact, that famous song, I have a dream, a song to sing
Yes.
to help me cope with anything.
Yes.
It says, if you see the wonders of the fairy tale. So your fairy tale, you must live your fairy tale.
Yes.
And the only way to do that is to build a foundation for that dream.
Perfect. Perfect. Absolutely. Fabulous. Really. Be realistic yet dream big. Keep your foundation strong and then develop wings and fly.
And know yourself. I think the first dream of every person should be to understand his own self and his own limitations.
That's right.
That's where I think Sushant has a head start.
Absolutely.
Because he begins dreaming after understanding his own self, figuring out what he wants to do.
That's good.
Most of us end up spending our entire lives without actually thinking about what we wanted to do in the first place.
Correct. And also, I think these dreams are not, isolated. They're not sort of disjointed dreams that have just sprung up in his mind. Another example of Sushant's life is that, along the way, he kept arming himself with a whole lot of new skills and tools and talents and traits to be able to dream big, one after the other. Like you said, sometime back, that these were not his only 50 dreams. Had he been alive, he would have dreamt another 50 set, and then another and another, because he was, continually living and learning and growing and evolving. So if you sort of, keep adding, arms to your armor, you'll be able to expand your horizon and your wings and spread your wings, much more wider and be able to dream much more and plan much more and achieve much more,
I completely agree. These dreams are also not disjointed.
Correct.
One thing flows from the other. And see, there is rhythm in the flow of a stream. And, there's rhythm in the education of a child when he goes through the process properly.
Correct.
And there's rhythm in music.
Correct.
And there's rhythm in tennis.
Absolutely.
And I'm just giving you one common thread between a lot of the dreams, but I'm saying that all of these dreams had so many common threads.
That's right.
Because this man had a sense of the rhythm of life, essentially.
Yes.
So that's what he wanted to capitalize on.
Absolutely.
And to truly live means to truly appreciate things across spheres. And I know that there are dreams which you will not be able to fulfill. It's a short life. We have a short existence. But we must make sure that we always have a sense of where we are going. And
Absolutely.
there is a common thread. I mean, disjointed dreams would worry me because, I have seen people talking about astrophysics and maybe music, but in a very disjointed sense.
Right.
Sushant made it a medley. So one thing followed the other.
Correct.
And so this list of 50 dreams can be made into a nice medley.
Absolutely.
And we can sing them together someday.
So absolutely. That's the musician in you, analyzing it thus, really, the creative person. So Maanas, are you going to, give us a treat with another of Sushant's songs? It's time for that.
Yes, this is a peppy song. And
Okay.
I want to, have a peppy number after the previous one. It was rather
yes.
sad. So here we go.
Please introduce the song to us.
This is from the movie Shuddh Desi Romance.
Okay.
And I think this was Sushant in collaboration with Yash Raj Films.
Right.
I think this was his first collab with them. And Vani Kapoor was the heroine in this. And Sushant was fantastic on screen. He was magnetic on screen in this song.
Lovely.
Beautiful song. Gulabi is the name of the song.
I see. Okay.
And it's peppy and it's very popular.
Lovely.
I'll try and do justice to it.
Fantastic.
Sachin Jigar's music, I must add.
I see.
Yeah. So and
Talented
the
too. Very
previous
talented.
song was A.R. Rahman's music.
Okay.
This is something I'd like to say. Sushant had the good fortune of working with a lot of fantastic musical talents.
Set of musicians.
So, yeah. I think perhaps he had a role to play in that, but well, we'll never know. गुलाबी डोरी है बंदी ये छोरी है न रोका टोकी न सीना जोरी है शाम गुलाबी सैर गुलाबी पैर गुलाबी है गुलाबी ये शहर मैं भी गुलाबी तू भी गुलाबी दिन भी गुलाबी है गुलाबी ये कहर शाम गुलाबी सैर गुलाबी पैर गुलाबी है गुलाबी ये सहर हाँ मैं भी गुलाबी तू भी गुलाबी दिन भी गुलाबी है, गुलाबी ये कहर। ओ ओ गुलाबी डोरी है, बंदी ये छोरी है, ना रोका टोकी न सीना जोरी है। गुलाबी डोरी है, बंदी ये छोरी है, ना रोका टोकी न सीना जोरी है। शाम गुलाबी, शहर गुलाबी, पैर गुलाबी है, गुलाबी ये शहर। मैं भी गुलाबी, तू भी गुलाबी, दिन भी गुलाबी है, गुलाबी ये कहर। ओ ओ
Fantastic. That's a bit of a hilly tune to it. Is it right?
It does, yeah. Particularly in the inflections of whoa. Yeah, it has that feel to it. Yes.
That's correct. That's correct. No, fantastically sung again, Manas. You know, that
Thank
was
you.
the last set of Sushant's dreams from 41 to 50. And it begins with play chess with the champion, own a Lamborghini, visit St. Stephen's Cathedral in Vienna, perform experiments in cymatics, help prepare students for the Indian Defense Forces, make a documentary on Swami Vivekananda, learn to surf, work in artificial intelligence and exponential technologies, learn capoeira, and travel through Europe by train. Again, a fabulous, fabulous, vibrant set of, dreams to have, goals to sort of, want to achieve, really. That brings me to my final question, Manas. Sushant was one who did not shy away from, helping others. His huge donations that came to light after his death, his dream of sending children to NASA. I feel, strongly that we all must be inclusive and philanthropic to the extent we can be. It helps in two ways. One, it brings relief to the person, we intend helping. The second is that, we envelop ourselves with positive energy that ends up helping, our own selves. What is your take on this matter?
I think this is the most important aspect of Sushant's personality. And anybody who is in a position to give must give back to society. All of us must do it. It is our responsibility as human beings and as people who perhaps belong to a more privileged set of society and a more privileged race. Our responsibility towards other people, towards other species, towards nature, towards the planet is tremendous. And unless we give back more than what we get, I don't think our lives are truly, worth living. And I think that is something Sushant underlined. That, see, look at his dreams. His dreams are so people-oriented. Apart from a few dreams, but they are also, dreams like travel and steeped in culture and human achievement, love for nature. So there are larger interests which he had, and his ideas were very nuanced. And that is why I say that is where a sense of philanthropy also comes from. When I admire a lot of corporate leaders who indulge in philanthropy, I particularly look for such people to look up to. Because there are people with the financial means, there are some people with the knowledge to empower, there are some people who have maybe skills in music, but not many of them give back to society. And when Sushant passed away, I did know about the fact that he was very interested in charity. He did speak about it a few times, but he never really went out, tom-tomming around like other people do, talking about how much he spent on a particular organization, like a lot of people from his industry do.
That's right. Yeah.
So, give without expecting anything in return, and also give because you want to. Give because it gives you a personal sense of satisfaction. Do not give because you're in the eye of the media and because you will get a lot of recognition for it. A lot of people tend to do these things because they feel like they'll get recognition and there'll be an article about them, a front page news. I think that is what Sushant was able to avoid.
Yes.
And that's truly remarkable considering that he was a person who was all the time, in the eye of the storm as far as the media is concerned. I mean, the slightest information was a news article. So for a man like him to keep these donations under the carpet, not tell anybody about how much he had contributed already to society as a young man, and to, then later further strengthen his legacy by people coming to know about this. It's incredible. I do think that this is the most important lesson to learn from Sushant's life. That in whatever capacity you can give back to society, please do it, because that is the only way you will be truly happy in life. I don't think that there's no material satisfaction. I don't think that concept really exists. You can talk about, living in a big room like this, but I don't think it ultimately makes a difference. Be happier if the room is a little smaller, but maybe I make some space for a small school in the back. So what I'm trying to say is that, we must give back to people. We must give back to society, and we must realize our responsibility towards each other, towards nature, and without the expectation of getting anything back in return. It'll come back to you in some way or the other. It definitely will. But please don't expect going in to become some kind of superstar. That's not what happens.
I didn't even know that he had donated so much to Nagaland and Assam and Kerala. And there were news after he passed on that those were the states where he was not even so well known. He wasn't a big name in those states because maybe they do not watch too much of too many Bollywood films. Yet he had extended himself so altruistically to go and help the people around.
Yes, and I think that comes from knowledge again, because the Northeast is that part of India which is often neglected. The Northeast has faced so much trouble.
Absolutely.
The recent floods in Assam
Yes.
did not receive enough coverage, ironically because of Sushant's demise. That is the worst way to honor this man's legacy.
Absolutely.
If you truly want to honor his legacy, go and do some groundwork, the kind he would have appreciated.
That's right.
So Assam, Kerala, for instance, every September there's this problem in Kerala. People face it.
Yes.
And that tells you that he was not looking for more fans from that state. He was looking to help people. Otherwise, he would have made a donation to people closer home, and where he was already very popular.
Absolutely. And to bring back what you said, we can live with smaller facilities, smaller accoutrements that sort of embellish our lives. Like you said, we could have a school in the back of our house. But there's no limit to what you can do, on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Maybe teach your helps, children, or feed a string of street animals, who live on your street and guard you.
We all had a tremendous opportunity during the pandemic.
Yes.
There were people who were in need of help, and there are people who did go out of their way to help others. And so I would rather see that side of humanity than what we commonly see these days.
That's right. I'm going to request you to, really end this session with a fantastic, it's one of my favorite songs, Maanas. So I was very sly in, shoving it in onto the list of songs that we requested you to sing. It's a very promising song. It's a very peppy song that makes you look forward to, what's going to happen in your life, and steels you up to, face every sort of challenge. So would you please, give it your rendition?
Absolutely. Just before I begin the song, a small story about this song.
Yes.
There is a lighter which, Devanand opens in this movie.
Yes,
and this
that's right.
tune plays.
Yes, that's
Whenever
right.
I see a lighter, the moment I see a lighter in anybody's hand, it ting-ta, 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 ting. That's what, I immediately think of. I'm never thinking of a cigarette. I don't smoke. But what I think of is Devanand and this song. And I think it has truly inspired many of us to live. And then the Jaidev, Rafi combination and the beautiful lyrics.
Remarkable.
Incredible.
Absolutely.
So I'll try doing some justice to this song.
Absolutely. I'm sure you will.
Here we go. मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया, मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया, हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ा, हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ाता चला गया, मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया, बर्बादियों का शौक मनाना फिजूल था मनाना, फिजूल था, मनाना फिजूल था। बर्बादियों का जश्न मनाता चला गया, बर्बादियों का जश्न मनाता चला गया। हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ा, गम और खुशी में फर्क न महसूस हो जहां, न महसूस हो जहां, न महसूस हो जहां। मैं दिल को उस मकाम पे लाता चला गया, मैं दिल को उस मकाम पे लाता चला गया। हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ा, मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया।
Wonderful, wonderful. Bravo. So well
you.
done. Really, my favorite of this
Thank you,
evening. And I'm being a bit biased,
Thank
but
you.
it's lovely, lovely. Thank you, Maanas. Thank you.
Thank you so
So,
much. Thank
on
you.
that note of grit and determination, we end this small tribute to a fine young man who would have traveled to the moon and back had he been alive. The reason why this tribute was centered on Sushant's 50 dreams is because they encourage us to dream big, to set a sight high, yet keep our feet grounded, to aim for the impossible, and to arch up actually to attain some of it. Thank you for joining me, Manas. In this special tribute to a wonderful human being, you truly made it special.
Thank you so much. I am so glad I had this conversation with you. I greatly look up to you, and I love watching this channel. And I am honored to be a guest in this very, very illustrious list. Thank you so much for having me on the
Thank
channel.
you.
I am very happy that we celebrated
Absolutely.
Sushant Singh Rajput today. He deserves a celebration.
You're right. You're
And
right.
I think we have missed out on celebrating him
You're right.
so far. So I'm very glad that we celebrated him today on this channel.
Correct. So well
And
said.
his 50 dreams are dreams for all of us.
Absolutely.
I hope all of us go to the moon
Yes.
and back.
And that. Yes, that's right. There is whatever there is, that's happening alongside in a parallel fashion, the conspiracy theories, the discussions, the debates, the media trials, whatever they may be. And people have their own reasons for following that. But for at least for people who have some common sense and have a sense of sanity, we all want justice. We all want to know why, because we've lost a person who was looked up to at so many levels. And in my case, I'm looking up to him much more now that I learned so many facets of his, so many wonderful facets of his. But I guess a life such as that has to be celebrated and learned from, and to be inspired from, really. So that was the endeavor this evening, really, to think about the person and to really reevaluate and to really re-impress upon our own minds what he did, what he accomplished in a very short lifespan. So there is no limit, there's no boundary to what we can do, to break our own shackles and to really fly away to our own goalposts. So thank you, Manas. You really made it, absolutely riveting and spectacular with your thoughts, with your words of wisdom at that young age, and with your lovely music. I can't thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for really making
Thank
it.
you so much, Aruna ma'am, and thank you for once giving me this opportunity to celebrate with you and celebrate Sushant. I think
Fabulous.
this was very important for me too.
It was very important for all of us, I think. Ladies and gentlemen, do like, share, and subscribe to the channel of the High Priestess of Hedonism. We'll see you next time with more beautiful thoughts to ponder over. We have been given one life, just this life. Let's make the most of it. Bye for now.
त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान्